I believe in my neighbour, my fellow man, meeting up and struggling to understand our lives as best we can. The hall is a safe space where we can think, talk, learn, listen, laugh and dance. It brings out the best in us. So come along and see what we're doing with your own eyes. Don't be frightened.
Many years ago in Nicaragua, I met a lovely writer called Donal O'Kelly. He's an Irish writer. We've been in contact since. And Donal told us the story of Jimmy. And I suppose what we loved about it was the fact that he'd built his own hall with his friends, actually built it with their own hands. And it was a place to think and debate and to write and to joke and to meet in safety, to have music, brought back a gramophone record. So it was just bursting with all sorts of levels and ideas. And it was also a very, very interesting time in Ireland, so we thought this would be a great premise for a film.
He had this ability that you see amongst many people who lead communities and nourish communities, of just bringing people together, of getting things moving, there are people who run football clubs who can do it. There's people all over who have this quality, and they generate enthusiasm, they generate ideas, they get people together, they get organising, they get groups going, they'll get a poetry group going, an art group going, a sports group, teaching the kids boxing lessons. All this activity comes from out of people's enthusiasm, generating enthusiasm, and Jimmy has that quality, but he's also got principles, and I think that's what's important about him. It isn't just random activity. It's tied to a view of the world, which is to do with understanding the nature of society, the conflicts within society, the classes within society, and that, in a way, is why the church needed, and the landed interest needed him out.
And it was very interesting too, because he had all those qualities that Ken mentions, but he had a great hinterland to him, because he'd left home very, very young. He'd been in the British Army. He deserted when they were going to send him off to India, and he said he didn't want to be involved in the suppression of the Indian community. So he'd been a docker, he'd been a miner in Wales and Liverpool. He'd been a miner. He'd travelled the world. He'd been to the States. He'd seen the Roaring Twenties in the United States. He'd seen the Depression. He'd seen all that tremendous wealth and luxurious lifestyles of New York in the 20s, and then he saw the whole thing crumble. He saw massive unemployment. So, he'd really seen the world. So instead of turning into a cynic, he brought back all those experiences to the hall. And then he tried to understand the world, bringing all that together, but also meeting, debating, reading Connolly, reading the history books, so a man of great dynamism. And another thing that really attracted us to his attention, a great sense of mischief and fun.
Jimmy's got many qualities. He's a working man, but he's a working class intellectual. He has an inspirational quality about him, and he's an organiser. And he's a manual labourer. Getting all that together in one person is a lot. And we found some wonderful actors, and they would have one or two of the qualities, but they wouldn't bring them together. And Barry really brought them together. And he's like a Pied Piper of Hamelin. Leading people into a dance, and has a wonderful quality. And Simone is just a very fine actress, and of a woman who's the great love of her life has just slipped away. Had to leave 10 years earlier, and she's married with kids, and has kept the idea of Jimmy alive in her mind.
We need to take control of our lives again, to live and to celebrate, to dance as free human beings.